Greetings, everyone. I'm Jed Shlackman. I work as a holistic counselor as well as an energy healer and hypnotherapist. For this video, I'll be speaking about a fairly common fear or phobia that people may have. And this is fear or anxiety about health issues, about illness, and about death. So people who are afraid that they're going to get some type of serious illness, as well as something that could be life-threatening that could lead to their death. And this is actually not that uncommon. Many people have this fear, at least to some extent. So even someone who's just afraid of catching a common infectious illness, that's a mild version of this fear. But there are also people who start noticing every little symptom or sensation or discomfort in their body and start to catastrophize, to think, oh my, what if this is cancer? What if this is some deadly illness? What if I'm about to have a heart attack, a stroke? So this is something that could lead people to overreact to kind of everyday symptoms or sensations. And it can become very distracting, where people are spending a lot of time and energy trying to monitor and pay attention to their body and do every little thing they think they can do to prevent illness, and that could get in the way of just being in the present, living life, doing things you love and enjoy, and being able to appreciate your life without being afraid of the future, of what might happen. Oftentimes our mind gets caught ruminating, thinking about things that are either very unlikely to happen or eventually may happen, but they're not something to concern yourself about in the present. So certainly everyone who's here in this earth experience with a human body is eventually going to experience the end of that lifetime, the death of that body. So it's something that will happen eventually, sooner or later. We can't prevent it from ultimately occurring. And if we spend too much time thinking about it, fearing death, then we're not going to be able to fully be present with enjoying life. So part of overcoming that type of fear is coming to a place of acceptance, accepting that death, or at least the experience of physical death of the body ceasing to live and ceasing to maintain itself, that's going to happen. However, our consciousness, our spiritual essence, it existed before this physical body. It will continue to exist after the disintegration of this physical body. So your self, the core of who you actually are, never actually dies. It's just here having this experience. So if we could have that understanding and really fully embrace and fully embody that understanding, there would be less anxiety about death, less fear of it. Since human beings, as physical animals and as social beings that in a sense want to cling to physical life, have that desire to do so, there tends to be a social program as well as a biological reaction of fear toward death. So when someone dies people tend to go into mourning and grief, even though from the spiritual realm it could appear that that person completed their purpose here on earth. They accomplished what they were here to accomplish. They're ready to move on to new experiences, ready in a sense to graduate from that incarnation. The spiritual realm might look upon that as a positive thing, but here on earth we have difficulty with loss, with separation. We have difficulty with just the idea of someone having their body come to its death point or its end. So people are sad, people are dressed in black and crying and going through these different mourning rituals. So if everyone around you is experiencing that negative response to death, like it's something horrible, something we should put energy into avoiding and resisting, then when you think about that, you start to go into that reaction. There's this anxiety, this fear, this resistance to that potentiality, rather than an acceptance, rather than trusting that when the time comes, it'll be when it's meant to come. You'll get through that. You'll transition to the spiritual plane and whatever needs to come next. Rather than trusting in that, people tend to fear it, to be very uncomfortable thinking about it. And that anxiety creates physical tension. So your physical body is impacted by your emotional state. So you might feel some tension in your body, your heart racing, your body sweating, your nerves twitching, different kinds of things going on with your body when it's in a way overloaded by the emotion of anxiety. So if you could practice reprogramming your thoughts, your attitudes, your perspectives about death, then you're able to start releasing that tension, to not react so strongly, to be able to just breathe, to remind yourself it's okay, we're infinite eternal beings. Death is just the dissolution of the physical body, of that particular vehicle for experience, but our identity will continue, our consciousness goes on, and the other spirits that we've been collaborating with here in our human roles, they'll reconnect with us on the other side, so to speak. So it's not something that's permanent or final in the sense of having separated. It's really just temporary. In terms of our physical health, we sometimes forget that there is this really powerful intelligence that's here facilitating our human experience. There's the intelligence of our spiritual self that is an extension of the infinite self, what you could call God or the infinite spirit. There's also the biological intelligence, the wisdom that's present in the physical body itself, where you could say in the field of memory and information that's managing your physical body without you even being consciously aware of it. So there's that great field of intelligence and energy that's managing everything that's going on in your body in every single moment. You don't have to think about it. It's happening automatically, and it's maintaining your body, relatively speaking. You might not be in quote-unquote perfect health, but your body is functioning reasonably well if you are here alive. Your heart's beating, your brain has the electricity pulsing through it, you're able to move your hands, your legs, you're able to use your eyes, your ears. So all these different things are functioning and working in your body, even if you might notice some little symptom of something that's not functioning so smoothly. So there's always more that's functioning adequately in your body than there is that isn't functioning adequately. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here alive in this body. So you can be grateful for that intelligence and wisdom that are there supporting your physical health. You can have more trust in that inner intelligence, in that innate wisdom that's guiding the body. You don't have to be afraid of every little thing that's happening. You can trust that your body knows what it's doing. It's managing things in the best way it can. Sometimes it's reacting to some type of stress or challenge that it's dealing with. Sometimes your body is going through some type of cleansing process or transformation or remodeling itself in some way. So it could have some sensation of discomfort as it's going through its own self-maintenance, but that might be something that it's actually doing for its own benefit in a sense. So you don't have to look at it as something negative. Your body knows what it's doing, and it's more often than not a case of the body is able to handle things on its own. Usually it doesn't need any external extra intervention. So most of the time when there's some type of stress or discomfort happening with your body, some type of symptom, you don't need to rush to the hospital. You don't need to take a dozen different tests. You don't need someone to give you a particular medication. There may be a small percentage of situations where those things are vital to support your health, to maintain your body in some emergency situation, but in most other situations, by getting anxious about some symptom, you're actually doing yourself more harm than benefit. So if we think about what's making it difficult for the body to maintain itself, it's usually some type of stress. So if you're getting anxious and creating stress, you would just be compounding any challenge that your body might already have. So it wouldn't be solving or fixing anything. You would just be interfering with your body's own natural ability to restore its sense of balance and harmony, to maintain its own health, its own homeostasis or wholeness. So you can remind yourself that getting anxious about physical illness, of something that's just a possibility that might occur in the future, that's not going to really be productive, it's not necessary, and it's actually more likely to create or lead toward illness than it is to enable you to do anything that's going to prevent illness. Ideally, we already have some basic knowledge of self-care, where we know if we're eating a relatively healthy, balanced diet, we're getting enough exercise, sunlight, getting enough rest, staying away from harmful chemicals or harmful drugs, just doing the basic things that support the balance of our physical body. We don't need to spend extra time worrying about it. We can just relax and live our life. We can do the things that we enjoy things that bring us a sense of meaning and purpose and fulfillment, and let the body take care of itself, because that's what it's designed to do. There's that automatic, you could call it autonomic nervous system intelligence, the part of your consciousness that's handling your physical body without your conscious effort. And it's doing a really great job. If it hasn't been doing its job, you wouldn't be here watching this video, listening to the words I'm speaking, understanding what I'm explaining, etc. So there's so much that's functioning well there that we just kind of take for granted. And we can take it for granted because that's how it's automatically functioning without our effort. We don't need to get anxious about it. We don't need to constantly look at our body, listen to our body, pay attention to every little sensation, every little pulsation. Everything is just running on its own without the need or requirement to keep focus on it. So just take this moment to breathe, to relax, to trust your body, to trust that if at any time, in any moment in your life, you do experience some major significant health challenge, it may be there for a reason. It's part of your path. It's something that you might have the opportunity to learn something from. It's something that you can be curious about as to what you can do that's going to support or restore your health. You don't need to be afraid of that situation arising. It's something that you'll be able to handle, to deal with in a meaningful and purposeful way if it presents itself. If we can be in a state of acceptance and non-resistance to whatever may arise in the future, then we're better able to enjoy the present, to really be immersed in our moment-to-moment life experience, and to channel our energy into what we're doing in the here and now, so that we truly can, in a sense, make the most of each moment. If our energy is scattered with worries about the future, thinking about the possibility of catching an illness, the possibility of dying, of something unpleasant happening, then you're taking yourself out of the moment. You're bringing your attention away from something you would probably rather be focused on, something you'd really like to be doing. It doesn't help you to have anxiety, fears about your health or death getting in the way of living life. So take a moment to breathe and remind yourself that you can be in a state of acceptance, of just allowing life to unfold. You don't need to resist any possibility. Everything that you might consider good or bad, pleasant or unpleasant, can be a part of life, and you can navigate all of it. Your life doesn't have to be just pleasant, just joy and peace. Your life can include some stress and challenges, some discomfort, some suffering and pain. It's okay to have that as a part of life. It's not something that we need to obsessively seek to prevent or avoid. We're all going to go through some pain or suffering at some time in our life, and we don't need to escape from that. We can actually be present with it and accept it. There's nothing to be ashamed of with it. It's part of what your soul has, in a sense, pre-planned for you to explore and experience as a human being. So embrace your human experience in its totality, That includes experiences of health and of illness, experiences of life and of death. Those are all part of the greater wholeness of your existence. I hope that this short discussion has given you some insight, some things to contemplate or meditate upon. And I hope that you can take your time to relax and breathe and enjoy life. You don't have to be afraid of illness or death. If you experience those fears, just let them come through. Let those sensations move through your body. Let your breath carry them through and start to help you let them go. If you can just allow things to pass through, they tend to naturally dissipate and fade. If you tend to resist something, it's like you're adding tension and anxiety to it. So if you have anxiety and then you become anxious about having the anxiety, you're helping perpetuate it rather than just letting that wave pass through. So just allow the waves to pass through. Be patient with yourself and with your process. For those that are looking for additional resources for holistic health and wellness, I invite you to visit my website, phinsights.com. That's spelled PHINSIGHTS.com. For now, I'd like to wish everyone a wonderful day. Namaste.